Red button? Okay. Go.
Sneaking one?
Yeah, get one out. The audio room. Okay, I'm here with Sam Grove, who the last time I interviewed, I made the remark, country music superstar.
Oh, man.
And you said, oh, you was kind of hungry, you played that down a little bit, but it looks like you're on your way. I want to say you at least star level if Billboard magazine says, you know, you're a country music act to keep an eye on.
Well, you know, all I ever want to do is, you know, make music and play music for a living. So I never chased the glitter or the star power. I just wanted to be able to play songs for a job. So as long as I'm doing that, I'm happy.
And I appreciate that as someone who's become a fan of your music. And the last time we spoke, you had actually shared some good information that we keep up on our website that I try to point new artists to that are considered getting into business. You kind of broke it down that getting into the business or signing with a label, if you don't know what you're doing, they can pretty much own you.
Oh, yeah.
Own your music. And you said that for someone starting out, that it could be a good thing to help them, you know, polish them up a little bit, you know, and get them going. And then if a person wants to go in the direction of doing their own music, they can do that because you kind of broke down that you really don't make a lot of money off the music. You kind of said it was the butts and the seats.
Yeah, I mean,
coming out to the shows.
There is a way to make. I mean, when you're first starting out, revenue off of music is tough. You know, so trying to go and play shows is how you can substitute the revenue that you're missing out on. But when you start getting a substantial amount of streams, then you can watch that shift to where you can sit more in the seat of making more music and creating more revenue rather than having to be out on the road and play a bunch of shows. Because it's expensive to be out here, you know, to try to set up a show and do all that. It does cost money, but it's a great way to subsidize, you know, while you're trying to build up your catalog and build up your music. Now you can get to a place, if you're an artist that constantly puts out music on a regular basis, you can build up your catalog to a place to where, you know, if you have 1,000 songs out and all 1,000 songs are getting 20 streams, that's 20,000 streams a day, which is a substantial amount of money in a week and then a month and then a year. So I think that part of the game is just trying to make the best kind of music you can and putting it out as regularly as you can, and in the meantime try to play shows to help subsidize.
And you told the audience at the last show over at the Bloom when you did the country music show that it was like one of the largest audiences you played for in Virginia.
Yeah, the largest.
Yes.
Yeah, that was an incredible experience. You know, I was the opening act. You remember? I came out and played as an opener.
I remember a couple years ago, the first time I seen you,
Yeah.
well, I got a glimpse of you and I heard a couple songs and I hate to confess that, and I told you then, you were a country music artist that convinced me that I could like country music.
Thank you so
And I
much.
started listening to it, and thanks to you, because I developed a like for country music, I didn't blow away an assignment to go see Jimmy Allen
Yeah.
when he also played the same stage that you played in the Bloom. So it's nice. Look, I see you still wearing the
Oh,
uniform.
yeah, come on, man. You know I got to represent.
Yeah, all right. He's got the celebrity one on, big beats. But I appreciate what you do with your music and how you respect and stay connected with your audience. And I hear that in what you're doing now. But I also notice, you know, a trend, you know, going on with your music. You seem to be. You said in some of your blogs that you love acoustic music.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And hearing what you're saying about, you know, setting up shows and all, I know the performance over at the stage at Shenandoah College when you was playing in the Bloom, that was a big stage that needed a band.
Mm-hmm.
But in venues like this, it seems like acoustic is pretty fitting. So tell me where you're going with that.
Honestly, I feel like everything always starts, a song always starts, and it can be in its best form with just a voice and one instrument. That's how you can hear the story of the song best. And if it can pass the test of it just being that way, then you know that when you add in all the other instruments and all the other stuff, that it's just going to enhance the song itself. So I've always been intrigued by the stripped down shows because it gives an audience a chance to really hear the lyric, really understand the story behind the song, and give them a more in tune. Because I make music to relate with people. That's my favorite thing, is when you write feelings that you feel like you've only felt yourself, and then you put out there in the universe, and you see that there's a lot more people that have felt the same way. That's one of my favorite things, is that music shows you that you're not alone.
Good. And like I said, you travel a lot, and I said, hey, when I text Brad, I said, you guys are going to be in my backyard. I go about 25 miles over here from Western Maryland.
Yeah.
Western Maryland does have sort of a Western sound. They're more bluegrass. They are trying to get into some more progressive country music publicly. But just knowing that you was here, I wanted to respect what you're doing and at least show up.
Man, I'm grateful that you're here, man. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so from here, where do you think your music is going to go? The acoustic sound kind of reminds me when MTV introduced us to Unplugged,
Yeah.
and it made you feel more connected with the artists. I looked at the room up there, and it's got that same vibe.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to enjoy yourself being able to be right there up front with the people. So is that something that you want to do more of?
Oh yeah, it's something we plan on doing every year. Honestly, for all the years leading up to 2020, I always had a band, and I always played full band, and I always played the big shows. When 2020 happened, I did this thing called Backyards and Bonfires.
Okay.
And I traveled around the country. I played 87 shows from California all the way out to the East Coast, and I played in people's backyards. And it made me realize what truly made me love music was the connection. So after I did Backyards, I called Brad, my manager, and I was like, every year I'd like to be able to have that kind of intimate experience, because it's a soul feeder for me. So we started booking some more of these acoustic things, which is great. And then now every October, every single year, we travel around the country and play in people's backyards. So we're doing it this October. It's all sold out, all the dates, and we just we're gonna have a really good time. And you get to live a little bit more when you travel that way.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, we still do the bus act thing where we're on the bus. But when you're on a big bus, you can't go and really do things and see things and experience things. When I'm driving to people's houses and I'm in a truck or I'm in whatever, I can go and see the world and do things that I wasn't able to do when I'm, on a big bus with a band. So I've really enjoyed getting to live life a little bit more. And as a songwriter, one of the biggest things you can do to have inspiration to write music is to live life. So if you take that away, you lose your inspiration to be able to relate to people and live and write about it.
I guess from that perspective, how do you see like music in general? I mean, did we lose something during the lockdown, so to speak? And I see you found a way out, doing the backyard tours. And, but do you see that? I mean, I'm feeling about like music kind of changed. And I around what you had told me that a lot of the music now is coming out of Nashville and places. I know down in the south in Atlanta, that's where a lot of blacks are going for the rap and so forth. So it seems like there's polarity of two places where they're doing music, and now everybody's running to New York or out to California.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. There's definitely been a shift, in creation.
Mm-hmm.
COVID, what it did for artists was allow them to be off the road and be back in the studio and kind of be back in the place that they were in the beginning, which is being able to just create music and do that, what they got them started in the first place. So I think that's why we're in a climate where there's so much more music being released by artists rather than someone dropping an album and then waiting 2 or 3 more years to drop another album. Now artists remembered what a special experience it is to be in the studio, write music, and they also learned that there is no saturation when it comes to putting music out to people who care about what you're putting out. So I think that's changed that, and I also think the show aspect has changed a ton, because when 2020 happened, you had a bunch of people that are now old enough to go to shows, but they weren't able to. So for 2 years, they had to find a way to cope to not go to shows. So now those kids, the whole industry is trying to get them accustomed to want to come back out to concerts, because they never got the experience anyway. So they're like, well, we're 23 now, and it's not as as cool of an experience because they did without it. They missed out on something that was so special for, my generation. When we first turned 21 and we got to go to concerts, that was a very big deal. That's what makes that fire and passion is what brings us back to want to see more shows. So when you skip out on a generation not being able to do that, it changes the dynamic of what happens at shows.
Yeah, I'd sort of call them like the Netflix
Yeah.
generation because for like comedy shows, some of the music concerts and all, it's just a streaming fiasco that
Yeah.
people realize they can still come back out to shows. And I've noticed over the past year, people are still coming back, are starting to come back out, even with the festival I told you about that we're hoping for the neighborhood. I have over 60 vendors at.
That's
that
awesome.
is sort of a blessing. It was a project that my mother left, and when she passed away, I was asked to carry the mantle. It just seemed like that's the thing to do. And I wasn't going to have music, but I got an ear of a three-piece group that was doing some music.
Nice.
And I invited them to come along because I think that music element, live music, is an element that has to be present in gatherings. I mean, if it's just
Especially
one
in one
person.
of your gatherings, man. Yeah. I feel like it's important,
Yes,
especially for you.
It is. It just moves the soul. Keeps a good balance. Like I said, coming in this room, upstairs and feeling that vibe, it was just like this
It's
is
a
awesome.
unity.
Yeah.
Music brings people together because in a time where there's so much separation, I feel like there's a lot of separation. Music is a way for people to relate in feeling in something that they've lived, and that doesn't matter what age, what color, what background. Feelings are feelings, and I love, that's one thing that I love about music is it brings a community together. People can relate and agree. There's no politics, there's none of that stuff. They can agree on just an emotion of a song, and that's such a big deal, when things can be so hectic nowadays.
And I do notice that because what you mentioned about some of the artists having that time to, a friend of mine, she, I've been encouraging for years to do her own music. She plays in several bands. As you know, when you start off, you might be in 3 or 4 different bands, just to get some public experience.
Mm-hmm.
And she started writing music, and it's really,
That's awesome.
really good. And I'll plug it, Jade Trimba. She's played this one with the Scotch Bonnets, one of the bands that she's in. And she plays around in the tri-state area here. And it's just, to me, a thing that I thought that divide when people weren't publicly facing one another with this distancing, that we would lose ourselves in that and we just surrender to just staying home and being lazy.
Yeah.
And I know a few artists that may have benefited from being able to stream with some networks and so forth. But not everybody's at that level.
Right.
That has that opportunity. I'm
That's
glad
right.
to see. I did not know about the backyards. I guess my head was looking in other areas, during that period. But I'm glad to see you back. I know you have a bigger show coming up in September in Ocean City.
Yeah.
And now, is that a full band?
Yeah, it's full band.
Yeah. It's the Performing Arts Center.
It is. Yep. Me and a guy named Lucas Hogue. It's an outdoor, outdoorsman type festival where there's going to be a whole bunch of vendors that if you're into that sort of thing, and Lucas actually has a show on the Hunting Channel. So we're doing like a little co-headline type thing in there in Ocean City during a week where there's not a lot of stuff going on, so and it's a gap in between where it's Bike Week and then and then Sunfest and the Corvette gathering. So there was like a week there where there was like a lull. So they're trying it out. I'm excited. I'm excited to just get to Ocean City.
I know being a Marylander,
Yeah.
I mean I know it's not the southern part of Maryland from where you're from, but being able to do something big like that in Maryland is really nice. I don't know if I get a chance to get down by that way, but if I do. Definitely take it. But you'll be in Annapolis with
Sunday.
Tomorrow.
Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, and Sunday.
Yeah, playing Ramshead on stage, which is a place I've always wanted to play. And it's again one of those venues that's crafted for this kind of show where it's a sit down, listen to the songs and listen to the stories, and I'm just really excited to kind of get into those.
Yeah, Annapolis is nice. Well, I do thank you for your time, and appreciate what you're doing. I'm gonna continue to try to bless you to say, you know, maybe you'll be a little bit bigger than what you think you. I mean, that you deny you are. Let me put it like that.
Thank you.
But you are. You're a star in my book.
Thank you, man. It means a lot
That
to me.
comes from the heart. What you're doing for music. I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank our camera crew.
Yeah.
I have to give her an official speech.